Hello and welcome to Infocus. I'm Bradley Valenaki. Water is a basic necessity in life, and with water comes hygiene and sanitation. We talk about it many times here in Papua New Guinea, but it's also important for us to look at the programs our important partners in the country, the government is doing to bring us one step closer to achieving some of these universal basic obligations that we have, but also focused on our human livelihoods here in Papua New Guinea. And joining me in the studio is Mr. Takale Tuna, who is the National Coordinator for the WASH program here in Papua New Guinea. And also beside him is Ms. Navara Kiene from WaterAid PNG. Thank you guys for joining me on the program today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so we'll go back to the basics of what your organizations do in as far as water is concerned, sanitation, hygiene. We'll start off with you, Mr. Tuna.
Yeah, thank you, Infocus and also EMTV for having us on board. I think it's very important that there is awareness out there in all our provinces and districts into what is a basic need for our people in terms of water and sanitation. Basically, the government actually has a WASH policy in place, water sanitation and hygiene policy that was developed and launched in 2015. And because of that policy, we have our development partners like the World Bank, EU, ADB, DFAT, who have come in to help us out given our economic situation. So, we often talk about it, but there was no really great effort in terms of government putting a focus on WASH in the past. But, in the last 4 years or so, government finally developed that policy, and then we have our partners coming in, and also our NGOs, international NGOs like WaterAid, World Vision, Oxfam, who are coming in with experience, global experience to help us out. So, last Friday was a significant day for the WASH sector in the World Toilet Day. So I'm glad to be here to talk about that.
All right. So WaterAid is in 34 countries throughout the world, in Papua New Guinea as well. Tell us about the work you're doing with like state agencies for which Mr. Takale Tuna is also leading.
Yeah, thank you, Bradley. I think with state agencies, as you mentioned, WaterAid, we are an international NGO. Our sole focus of work is in water sanitation and hygiene, but our approach is really very much working with partners, with the key one being government. So we do, work with government to implement the national WASH policy that Mr. Tuna has mentioned, and that's, bringing that service delivery to the communities. But I guess it's a twofold approach. In the process, we also, system strengthening is one of our approaches. We're working with government to implement sustainable systems where the government takes the lead, and we provide technical support in that area of water sanitation and hygiene. But our work is very much, aligned with the national WASH policy, implementing those policy objectives in improving water sanitation and hygiene in the country. So that's our approach, yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Tuna, before I started the program, I spoke about water being a basic necessity. With the program and policy now in place, how do you actually work to achieving that?
Yeah, basically the WASH policy has got about 3 goals. One is a public health goal, that is the reduction of waterborne diseases. The second goal is actually an economic one, and that is, we all know that in PNG and other parts of the world in the Pacific, women are always involved in collecting water, washing plates, washing clothes, and so on and so forth. So instead of earning a living for the family, like in terms of going to the market or doing their own little markets here and there, they're spending a lot of hours per day to actually collect water and then wash plates and clothes and so on and so forth. So they lose out economically, and the family loses out. Also, a third one is basically an equity goal, and that is addressing the disadvantaged people, like people living with disabilities, the elderly, women and girls. So those are the 3 goals of the WASH policy. And then there's 7 strategies that are being used to actually achieve those goals.
So, you know, on paper, there is a focus there, and then it's down to government plus its partners to actually implement this. Now, one of the things that Papua New Guineans will say is that why WASH policy? We have water in Papua New Guinea in an abundance. Your comments on that?
Exactly. I mean, that's what is common to us. People always ask, why are we asking for water when there's so much? I think the answer would be in the goal itself, and not so much the goal, but the objective. In that, it's talking about safe, sustainable water supply for the community. So it's basically how safe the water is, and now you harness that abundance of water that we have and actually distribute it safely and sustainably to the beneficiaries, who are mostly our rural communities. In the urban areas, they're a bit okay, except for our peri-urban settlements. But our rural areas are really struggling in that regard, because 1, it's not safe. 2, for the girls to go to the rivers and to the wells to collect is unsafe for them, especially if it's so far away.
All right. Interesting discussions there. We'll take a short break and come back on the other side with more of the discussions. Welcome back. You're watching Infocus, still discussions on water and sanitation in Papua New Guinea, and still with me in the studio, gentleman and lady. Before the break, we spoke about the work that's been done and why it's important to talk about water and sanitation in Papua New Guinea. Ms. Kiene, your organization has been working with government on this. Tell us about some of the projects that you've actually worked on.
Sure. Currently, for WaterAid PNG, we are operating in 4 provinces. So that's Central, NCD, East Sepik, and we've started a bit of work also in Western Province. As we mentioned, we work very closly with government and to strengthen the government system. So, I can give an example of one project we work with that takes that system strengthening approach. It would be in East Sepik, where we're working currently in Wewak district, strengthening the WASH sector in the district. So part of that work has been working with the stakeholders in Wewak district to develop establish a district WASH coordination body. So that's again working government partners in the district. First, that system strengthening aspect of it, setting up that committee, and then with that committee of government and other stakeholders, we worked with them to train the government officers to then develop a district WASH plan, which was we did a baseline of the 6 LLGs in Wewak district, coming up, identifying the WASH priorities there, and then using that evidence to develop a 5-year district WASH plan, which was launched last year. But again, it's the Wewak district custodian of that WASH plan, but we're providing that technical support to develop that WASH plan, and then using the WASH plan, implementing some projects in the district, but taking the government with that to establish a district service delivery model that can be used for the district to, implement WASH in the district. So that's, I guess, just an example of how we align. We're working at subnational level to then align to that national level WASH policy, but strengthening the system at the same time.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Tuna, you may talk long, wara before long displa. Tasol narpla something to sanitation na waste na long talk pisin you may talk pek so long side long sanitation na inside long country long you long Papua New Guinea you may no sa talk planty long displa, but inside long country you may pek long bus long solwara long one half how government now we walk long address him display inside long country.
Yeah, long Papua New Guinea planti yumi olman lo place yumi sa les lo tok lo pek but yumi sa well so pek sa kirapi sika.
Yeah.
So now time long time na open him up na tok long him like Emi no lo PNG tasol, all kata around the world lah, all tabu subject ya, because lo custom, sem bili yumi sampla bili yumi, yol sem suppose speaking ini pek lo sem toilet one time adult, by nona come up sabe man, intelligent man, sampla believe lo sampla up lo country all believe all sem suppose you pek around in village, you protecting village long all travel about now all biru ablo yumi so subject tabu you mana sa tok long so now long Friday and World Toilet Day ya UN Assembly allocating this la day lo yumi start tok lo important lo toilet lo life lo yumi
now I think inside long country too long one map you start setting too he make him hard liglig long walk him sample long all slow sanitation objectives you like walk him for example sample all place only walk him all house and tap long solwara so how by you kiss him waste he can begin time all stop and tap finish long solwara display all sample silence where you play looking
long display challenge thing all partner blue me semi talk finish lo opening remarks all partner blue me some water aid will vision Oxfam all got experience lo world lo dislakan how you manage him especially lo solwara ya liklik but there he got sample new pla all something all scientists all engineers working finish lo capture him pek na behind dispose him of safely even though it's in the water there are new innovations in place to actually do that.
So Miss Kiene, water aid long display side too. I think you walk him sample walk too long. Halve him long side long sanitation.
Sure.
You story little long.
Okay, me can start little walk water aid. I think by me talk to him two level lah. One level lo community straight na walk one time community. Another plan is a high level walk one time leader na this last. So by me talk to past time lo community. Also adding on to what Mr. Tuna talk lo. Time you go inside the walk lo community. And we had little it takes, by you like sensing thinking na behavior blow community too. So before you move into the community, and we must talk law na law importance blow sanitation or blow hygiene na. Why we talk about put in toilet at this la pa. They've been living for years without the toilet, but it takes a bit of persuasion, talking to the communities on the importance. Why am important law back inside law hole instead of in the open? What are the effects of open defecation? So I'm just like kind of inside the community. So talk one time all past them. Now behind too innovation. Suppose you mean like him all walk him toilet. How about walk him? Some people like digging hole, but there's other ways of building a toilet. So we plus walk one time all. It's like kind way law. Straight community or walk one time all. Realize the importance of the toilet. Now build more toilet inside the community. Okay, law national level or policy level now. I'm walk one time all partner. Especially our leaders will advocate the importance so that they can also support it. I think for this change, the come up community, and need him more leader too, take him lead. So and need him some keep up him thinking leader too want them. So community level, now government level, now want more leaders. So we do a bit of both of those sorts of work to contribute to improving the sanitation in the country.
All right. Thank you, True Long, joining me, Miss Kiene. I think long Narapla side, long way you sit down, and by Narapla colleague, you me long well vision by come. So maybe to thank you, long joining me.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
All right. Don't go away watching Infocus. On the other side, we'll discuss more of the important topic. Welcome back to In Focus, still our discussions on water and sanitation. And now also joining us in the studio, Mr. Clement Chipokolo from World Vision. So welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Fred.
All right. So we'll start off with you then. Your partnership with government in implementing this important policy.
Thanks, Bradley. All things water in the country are the responsibility of government and represented here by Mr. Tuna. And we do realize that. And so as an organization, we realize that we can only get things done when we partner with government. And that's exactly what we're doing in supporting government to implement the WASH policy. Like Mr. Tuna has mentioned, this WASH policy has been implemented in the last five and a half years with relative success. There is much more that needs to be done. Much has been done already. And we really believe that we need to work at the different levels of government, also with the centralized coordination of the WASH PMU to get this done. So our engagements in terms of delivery of WASH work is at different levels, where from the LLG level to the district level to the provincial level, where into the national level, working with the WASH PMU. And there's a number of projects that we're implementing in different ways and different approaches. But at the end of the day, government is our key partner, together with the donors that are funding the work that we do.
All right. So, Mr. Tuna, in terms of our statistics in the Pacific, where does Papua New Guinea stand in terms of achieving some of these objectives?
We are nowhere near the acceptable targets. Our access to water, for example, is only 46%. That's less than 50% nationally, and for sanitation, it's 19%. If you go further into the rural areas, it's 13% sanitation, and then about 36% access to safe quality water. So we are nowhere near. We are actually one of the lowest performing country in terms of access to WASH. So there's as Clement has already mentioned, there's things being done, but lots more needs to be done to actually address WASH service delivery in the country.
All right. So for people, basically, to access some of these, government support, and also with the help of the partners, how do they get in touch with the officers to come to the villages, do awareness, and also help them implement some of these projects? How do they come to your office or your office for help?
For us, we basically, if World Bank is implementing a project, that basically we follow the procurement process, and EU and ADB, it's all the same. We put out an expression of interest in the daily newspapers, and then the districts apply. And then there are set criteria that we actually follow. But having said that, there's quite a lot of funds being distributed to our members of parliament, and they're basically addressing water supply. And WASH is actually, there are three main components of WASH. There's water, sanitation, and hygiene. That's WASH in a total package. So for people to access WASH funding, they got to address the three components. If they are to secure funding from EU or World Bank, it's got to be the total package, not only one.
All right. So in areas in Papua New Guinea, Mr. Chipokolo, where do you actually operate?
Well, currently, in terms of our WASH work, we are working in about 6 provinces. We've done quite active investment of WASH partnering in the last 10 years across the country. In the Western Province, we're working in both the Middle and South Fly. In Medang, we have done work in Bogia until 2016. There is some work that we're thinking about starting in Sinobundi around WASH. We've worked in Morobe as well. In fact, as a matter of fact, we partnered with the PMU and UNICEF with some EU funding to lead the first open defecation-free district in the country, which is in Hawaii. So that was declared the first district that was open defecation-free. We've also worked and still working in a consortium with Water Aid and Plan with the support from the Water for Women Fund of DFAT in Makam, in implementing and supporting their 5-year WASH plan. Very close collaboration with the DDA there. We've worked also in NCD, in Hanua Bada, trying to work closely with MK and trying to improve their sanitation outcomes in the village there. We've also got some active work that's ongoing currently in Bougainville, in central Bougainville. Currently, we are also implementing and supporting the 5-year WASH plan there. But some also work going on in South Bougainville, in the Buin area, and CY, and also in North Bougainville as well, mainly washing schools in the north side. But in the past, we've also done quite a lot of investment in drilling boreholes, actually, in North Bougainville.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Tuna, in terms of the COVID-19 situation now in the country, it also brings us back to basics of the importance of water, sanitation and hygiene. The message has been sanitize your hands or wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds every time. That's basically a reminder to us of the importance of water.
Yeah, I mean, it's, hand washing has always been a great component, one of the biggest component of wash. It's one of the basic ways to keep, sicknesses by, diseases at bay. We've been advocating that, but with COVID coming around in 2019, it's accelerated, the importance of washing the communities. You can go on talking about washing your hands, but where's the water is going to come from? It has to be clean for a start. So that's where the importance of safe, sustainable water supply to the communities becomes very, very important, especially with the current pandemic and COVID-19.
All right. So, gentlemen, look, it's been a pleasure having you on board to discuss this important policy of government, but also a necessity for our country and also the greater humanity. All the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This has been Infocus. If you have comments on the program tonight, you can email us on the email now showing on your screen, or you can engage with us on our social media pages, or you can catch this program a little later on YouTube. From all of us here, stay safe. Bye-bye.